जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा। जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस एसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी शिला प्रभुपाद की। जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद डिवाइन ग्रेस भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद भागवतम की। ऑल ग्लोरीज टू assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru Gauranga. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जायमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। Hare Krishna. This morning we are discussing from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5th, entitled The Creative Impetus, Chapter 13, Rahugana Converses with Jada Bharat, Text 10. Karhi sma chit shudra rasan vichinvams tan makshikabhir व्यथितो विमाना तत्राति कृच्छ्रा प्रतिलब्धमानो बलाद् विलुम्पन्ति अथ तं ततोऽन्ये कर्हिस्मचित् क्षुद्ररसान् विचिन्वन्स् कर्हिस्मचित् क्षुद्ररसान् विचिन्वम् तन्मक्षिकाभिर्व्यतितो विमाना तन्मक्षिकाभिर्व्यतितो विमाना तत्रातिकृच्छ्रात् प्रतिलब्धमानो तत्रातिकृच्छ्रात् प्रतिलब्धमानो बलाद् विलुम्पन्ति अथ तमोन्या बलाद् विलुम्पन्ति अथ तं ततोऽन्ये कर्हस्मचित् क्षुद्ररसान् विचिन्वम् तन्मक्षिकाभिर्व्यथितो विमाना तत्रातिकृच्छ्रात् प्रतिलब्धमानो बलाद् विलुम्पन्ति अथ तं ततोऽन्ये कर्हिस्मचित् क्षुद्ररसान् विचिन्वम् तन्मक्षिकाभिर्व्यथितो विमाना तत्रातिकृच्छ्रात् प्रतिलब्धमानो बलाद् विलुम्पन्ति अथ तं ततोऽन्ये. Please recite. गर्हे स्मचित् क्षुद्ररसान् विचिन्वम् तन्मक्षिकाभिर्व्यथितो विमाना तत्रातिकृच्छ्रात् प्रतिलब्धमानो बलाद् विलुम्पन्ति अथ तं ततोऽन्ये. गर्हे स्मचित् क्षुद्ररसान् विचिन्वम् तन्मक्षिकाभिर्व्यथितो विमाना तत्रातिकृच्छ्रात् प्रतिलब्धमानो बलाद् विलुम्पन्ति अथ तं ततोऽन्ये. गर्हे स्मचित् क्षुद्ररसान् विचिन्वम् तन्मक्षिकाभिर्व्यथितो विमाना तत्रातिकृच्छ्रात् प्रतिलब्धमानो बलाद् विलुम्पन्ति अथ तं ततोऽन्ये. Anybody from Vaishnavis? गर्हे स्मचित् क्षुद्ररसान् विचिन्वम् तन्मक्षिकाभिर्व्यथितो विमाना तत्रातिकृच्छ्रात् प्रतिलब्धमानो बलाद् विलुम्पन्ति अथ तं ततोऽन्ये. We'll see word to word meaning. Garhe smachit, sometimes. Shudra, very insignificant. Rasan, sexual enjoyment. Vichinvan, searching for. Tad, of those women. Makshikabhi, by honeybees, or the husbands, or family members. Vyatita, very much aggrieved. Vimana, insulted. Tatra, in that. Ati, very much. Krichrat, with difficulty because of spending money. Pratilabdhamana, obtaining sexual enjoyment. Balat, by force. Vilumpanti, kidnapped. Atha, thereafter. Tam, the object of sense enjoyment. The woman. Tatha, from him. Anye, another debauchee. श्री श्री राधा मदन मोहन भगवान की, श्री श्री गौनिता चंद्र भगवान की, श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा माई की. So we'll see translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki translation. Sometimes, in order to have a little insignificant sex enjoyment, one searches after debauched women. In this attempt, one is insulted and chastised by the woman's kinsmen. This is like going to take honey from a beehive and being attacked by the bees. Sometimes, after spending lots of money, one may acquire another woman for some extra sense enjoyment. Unfortunately, the object of sense enjoyment, the woman, is taken away or kidnapped by another debauchee. Purport. In a great forest, honeycombs are very important. People often go there to collect honey from the combs, and sometimes the bees attack and punish them. In human society, those who are not Krishna conscious remain in the forest of material life simply for the honey of sex life. Such debauchees are not Such devotees are not at all satisfied with one wife. They want many women. Day after day, with great difficulty, they try to secure such women, and sometimes, while trying to taste this kind of honey, one is attacked by women's kinsmen and chastised very heavily. By bribing others, one may secure another woman for enjoyment, yet another debauchee may kidnap her or offer her something better. This woman hunting is going on in the forest of material world, sometimes legally, sometimes illegally. Consequently, in this Krishna conscious movement, the devotees are forbidden to have illicit sex. Thus, they avoid so many difficulties. One should remain satisfied with one woman being duly married. One can satisfy one's lusty desires with his wife without creating disturbance in the society and being punished for doing so. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamsya Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So I seek blessings of all the assembled devotees so that we can speak something worthwhile on this very emphatic verse. Of course, I should say we will always miss His Grace Anandamaya Prabhu, because every time I used to give class previously, he always used to be present to recite the verse back and translation. And probably this is first time after a very long time I am giving class, and always his presence would have been a great value for us. Even seeing him personally coming and taking darshan, and even just by seeing his presence, we used to get great inspiration. However, I seek blessings of all the devotees. Quite an emphatic verse to speak about. So in today's topic, we will see life of Jad Bharat, life of King Rahugan, and the forest that is being described here. Although Jad Bharat has not started describing it like forest, he is in a mood of trying to give instructions to Rahugan. But we understand the forest which we have entered. We will see few examples of what Prabhupada has spoken about this verse, and how living a simple life actually can take one out of lot of troubles. So here we will build a little bit context. The context is Jad Bharat speaking to Rahugan. So how this context has come about is Shukdev Goswami is speaking various incarnations of the Lord. Of course, he is taking conversations from various other conversations that has happened, like the conversation between Vidura and Maitreya, and he is continuing further. So he spoke about Rishabdev, who was partial Shakti Avesh incarnation of Lord, and he spoke about teachings of Rishabdev. And if I am not wrong, Rishabdev was a very great king, and he had like 100 sons. And then Bharat Maharaj was one of them, right? Bharat Maharaj was one of them. Now Bharat Maharaj also happens to be king of the entire planet. In those days, there were divisions of land also, but the divisions were not like today's division. Today's divisions of land is like if you cross one land, then you'll have to, face the rules of other land. That time there used to be Chakravarti Raja. Chakravarti Raja means one king ruling the entire planet, and there are other small kings ruling small portions of the land. In current times, sometimes we see a very small patch of land, and there are 2 or 3 contestants fighting for that for like 3,000 years, 2,000 years. But that time Bharat Maharaj was single owner, ruler of the entire planet. So Bharat Maharaj lived a very dutiful life like a king, and then he goes to forest for his final attainment, and a very small mistake, which started like a very small mistake, punished him very heavily. What is that heavy punishment? You get one more birth in material life. He became a deer, and then he became Jad Bharat. So when he became Jad Bharat, the Jad Bharat is explaining that I was very fortunate that I remembered my past life, which none of us have. We may say that in this life I am very, very rich. I have Janma, Aishwarya, Shrita, Shrivi and all that. But nobody remembers his past life. But Jad Bharat did not just remember who he was in past life, but he carried forward all the realizations that he had in his past life. So that's the reason why whatever Krishna consciousness we do, that we carry forward. But whatever bank balance, whatever money, whatever material assets we carry in this life, doesn't carry in the next life. Like that. So Jad Bharat was fortunate in that sense. He was also in a way fortunate because in his past to past life, when he was Bharat Maharaj, he was son of Rishabhadeva. Right? Even to get a father who is a incarnation of Lord, quite a great spiritual achievement. So in this way, when Jad Bharat is speaking, he is not speaking just realization of one life. He is speaking realization of 3 lives. Even in the life of deer, he remembered that in past life I was Bharat Maharaj. What a great mistake I have done. So imagine this conversation is happening between Jad Bharat and Rahugan. So Jad Bharat has already realized what mistake he has done. What was his mistake? Spoiled a human form of life. You get a human form of life, that to a form of king's body, and you lost attaining the highest perfection of Krishna consciousness. Not by a great distance, by a very short distance. You feel really very frustrated. Like for example, in a match, if we lose in a great margin, we'll say anyway we are not going to make it here. But if we lose with very small margin, like 1 run or something, we feel more disgusted. So that discussion Jad Bharat Maharaj had even in deer's life. So even when he was in deer's life, he says that he was not attracted by green grass of food. He used to go and stay with sages, even to hear Hare Katha in deer's life. So that was his special fortune of Jad Bharat. So now here Jad Bharat has realized his mistake, and who is the recipient of this knowledge is Rahugan. Rahugan is also a king, but not as big king as Bharat Maharaj. A small king of a Saurya kingdom, comparatively very small tract of land. And this Rahugan, in those times of Vedic life, kings used to go to hear Hari Katha. And it was told that this Rahugan was also on a palanquin to go to Kapilashram to hear Katha of Krishna Katha. So he was very fortunate to have Krishna Katha being delivered to him even before he reaches his destination. But while being on palanquin, he was in his kingly attire, and he was in that mode of being a king. And when he saw that somebody is not lifting his palanquin properly, every few steps the palanquin is top-seeing. So he chastised him very heavily. You look like very fat, but looks like you do not have any strength. Something like that he gave chastisement. So now it is very interesting to see why Jad Bharat started instructing Rahugan. Because Jad Bharat, by the time he was born of a twins, one girl and one boy, and Jad Bharat was that boy. And the moment he was born, I think he lost his parents, and then he was raised by a guardian, something like that. So this guardian father who was trying to teach him so many things, he remained like Jad Bharat, as if his senses are dumb, Jada. He remained like that. So when Rahugan is chastising, he also could have remained dumb, sitting, yeah, fine, no problem, Jad gets lost. I am happy internally in my Krishna consciousness. He could have done that. But it's interesting why Jada Bharat started instructing. So one thing is, when Rahugan chastised Jada Bharat, he spoke a little bit philosophy. It doesn't seem like you are very strength. He spoke about body a little bit. So there Jada Bharat got little interested. Probably is interested in philosophy. A good audience I have got. So we will see sometimes there are two kinds of preachers. One kind of preachers are like Narad Muni. They won't see qualified disciple, not qualified disciple. You got a candidate, just preach him. You got Prahlad Maharaj inside the womb, preach him. You got Dhruv Maharaj, son of king, 5 years, preach him. You got sons of Daksha, preach him. You got Mrigari, preach him. You got, what is his name, father of Krishna, Nanda Maharaj. He went preach to Nanda Maharaj also. Jo mil gaya usko preach kar do. That is one class of preachers. Another class of preachers, they see the qualification of the disciple. So he found very interesting. Jada Bharat is finding it interesting that Rahugan is speaking little philosophy. So, qualified candidate, sit down, I'll give a class. That was one thing. The other thing is, if a great fortune, a king becomes devotee, he can influence others also to become devotee. Like Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Yadyada charati shreshtas tattate vaitaro jana. So he is finding king, if I make him devotee, others will also follow the path of Krishna consciousness. Then this is another reason why Jad Bharat gave further more instructions to Rahugan. That Rahugan speaks a very interesting verse. Naham vishanke suraraja vajran na tarkasya shulan na yamasya dandat na agni arka soma nilayita pasras shanke vrisham brahma kulava manat. So not that just Rahugan realized his mistake, he actually came down the palanquin. He bowed obeisances with folded hands. He told Jada Bharat, Naham vishanke suraraja vajran. The Indra's thunderbolt also I don't fear. Na tarkasya shulan na yamasya dandat. Not Lord Shiva's trident, nor Yama's danda. Na agni, na arka means Surya. Na agni arka soma means Surya. Nilavitta Pashras. All these demigods have great weapons. I don't fear any of these great weapons, but I fear insulting a Brahma Kulava Manat. So please forgive me. So he rectified his mistake. So just imagine the Guru, Jada Bharat, also realized his mistake of misutilizing human form of life. And then disciple also realized his mistake of offense of Guru. So both have crossed that stage of committing mistakes and rectifying. And then the transcendental knowledge that comes out from Jad Bharat is of great value. Even when Shukadev Goswami is concluding the teachings of Jad Bharat, he says that the path traversed by Jad Bharat is like path of Garuda. My dear King Parikshit, the flies even cannot imagine to fly like Garuda. Like you have a Garuda and you have a fly. Garuda flies very high in the sky. In the fly, how much a fly can fly? A little bit it will fly and immediately sit. You see flies sometimes, they fly a little bit and come down, fly a little bit and come down. So he said that the path traversed by Jada Bharat is such a great path. And he says that nobody can traverse this path even mentally. Forget about practically following the realization of Jada Bharat. Even mentally you will not be able to follow. Like that. So now Jad Bharat is instructing about the soul, about the consciousness, about Sankhya, about the material elements, 11 senses, so much thing about Sankhya. Now he is trying to speak about a forest where everyone is stuck in this forest. Like sometimes a person living in the city goes into a forest to get cheap commodities. Like for example, if you want to buy some yagya havish or that yagya wood, firewood, quite costly in the city. But you go to forest, you don't have to do anything. You just cut and bring it. So sometimes a person thinks that if I go to forest, everything will be cheap. Right? So he enters the forest, but the problem is after you enter the forest, you get lost in the path. Because sometimes you see very lucrative things, sometimes you see some danger and run hither and thither. And in that forest, great forest, you just get lost. So sometimes people say that if you go to South America, Brazil, that Amazon forest is like that. You enter the forest, you just don't know where to come out. So this whole material world is like that forest. We have entered thinking that we'll get little happiness being away from Krishna, and we are just lost in this forest. And in this forest, we are encountering pythons, mosquitoes, bees, tigers, shallow rivers, mountains, seasons, monkeys, and so many things are happening in this forest. So to realize that we are in this forest, Jada Bharat is speaking this, forest of material enjoyment. So he has already spoken about a concept of shallow rivers and pythons, and now he is speaking about honeybees. So I'll read the translation and bring us back to this verse, specific verse which we were discussing. Sometimes in order to have a little insignificant sex enjoyment, one searches after debauched women. In this attempt, one is insulted and chastised by women's kinsmen. This is like to take honey from a beehive and being attacked by the bees. Sometimes, after spending lots of money, one may acquire another woman for some extra sense enjoyment. Unfortunately, the object of sense enjoyment, the woman is taken away or kidnapped by another debauchee. So when I read this verse, few classical examples in the Shastras come to our mind. So we all know the king of all the demigods is Indra. And in the Svargaloka, the relationship between the man and woman and the rules governing it are completely different. In the Svargas, even there may be one husband-wife, but if some other man desires another woman, the woman enjoys with another man also in Svargalokas. And it is not considered immoral or illegal in Svargalokas. Because what happens in Svargalokas, after a person is born, he becomes young, and that young age remains for a very, very long time. Like we in this earthly planet, we remain young for like 20, 30 years, 40 years maximum, to have that desire of enjoying opposite sex. But in Svargaloka, a man remains young for a very, very long time. So the proof is that we know in the Kauravas, there used to be one king, Yayati, and he had united with Urvashi. And the Pandavas and the Kauravas happens to be descendants of this kingdom. And Arjuna went to heavenly planet because he was destined to get some weapons from the Sargalokas. He had some work. He went to heavenly planet and he saw Urvashi. Like Urvashi might be like 20, 30, 40 generations before Arjuna. And he saw Urvashi was very young damsel in heavenly planet. So when Arjuna saw Urvashi, Arjuna was amazed. How is it that, generally when we say grandmother, the picture becomes very old like that. This is a great grand, I don't know how many, my mother. Arjuna felt like that. But Urvashi's mood was different. Urvashi thought, what a quite young, handsome guy. Although my descendant, the Sargaruka's rules are different. Earthly planet rules are different. So Urvashi started desiring to have union with Arjuna. So she came and proposed, and Arjuna denied. How can I have union with you? You may be heavenly damsel, but I am born in earthly planet, so I should follow the earthly rules. Urvashi got frustrated. You eunuch, you will become a eunuch. We know that pastime. So in Svargalokas, the rules are very different. The quality of the enjoyment of Svargalokas is very, very different. Described somewhere in Bhagavatam that even these heavenly damsels, when they dance, when the sweat comes out from their body, it is not sweat like that stings in this earthly planet. It gives out very nice fragrance comes out from the damsels of heaven. So Indra had such great enjoyment available at his hand. It is not that he had to pay some money by some woman for some enjoyment. Indra already had that. By some Sukruti or something, he had all that enjoyment. But Indra's mind somehow got stuck with Ahalya. Ahalya was an earthly beautiful woman. She was wife of Gautam Rishi. So Gautam Rishi was a very dutiful man. Every morning and evening he used to do all the rituals of Rishi. And he had a very beautiful wife, Ahalya. So many great demigods also used to see Ahalya from the heavenly planets. And they used to feel that how nice it will be if I would get a chance to enjoy from Ahalya. They used to think like that. So Indra was very much captivated by the beauty of Ahalya. So sometimes this is described in a very different example also. So sometimes a bumblebee, in order to get little bit honey from the lotus, it comes close to the lotus. Like even now when we go to a very nice fresh pond where lotuses grow, you will see that a bumblebee is encircling the lotus flower. So in that way, man who is very attached to a woman keeps encircling that woman, thinking that when will I get enjoyment, things like that. So when what happens is that the bumblebee finally goes and sits on that lotus flower, and in the act of forgetting himself, who he is, he keeps trying to get that nectar or that honey. And when the sunset happens and the lotus gets closed, and the bumblebee remains inside the lotus, and in the act of choking or breathing, in the morning when the lotus again blooms, he comes out dead. Like that. So sometimes it is described like that. Now here Indra got very much enticed by the beauty of Ahalya. He said that somehow I should get that enjoyment out of Ahalya. So he is quite observing, calculating, and one day he saw that the Gautam Rishi has gone in the morning to take bath, and Ahalya was not very attentive that when did my husband leave and go. So Indra took form of Gautam Rishi, and he came and was with Ahalya. And Ahalya, sometimes it is described that she was knowing that he is Indra, he is not my husband. A chaste wife immediately understands that he is not my husband. But she realized that he is Indra. So Ahalya thought, what beauty I possess, that even Indra is coming for my enjoyment. So Ahalya gave in to that. And then there was a new union. And by the time when Indra was leaving, actually Indra transformed his body like Gautam Rishi. And he came out of that chamber and he transformed himself as Indra. And by that time Gautam Rishi came back from his rituals, and Gautam Rishi saw that a person like me has come out and transformed himself as Indra. Then Gautam Rishi immediately chastised Indra. He said, you foolish guy, why are you, polluting my wife? And he gave very horrible curse to Indra, that may you become impotent, and because you are very attached to woman's yoni, all your body will have is woman's yoni only. He cursed like that. And then he cursed Ahalya also, that because you have done such an act, may you become a stone. Like that. He cursed both of them and he left. So it is typical example of being chastised by the kinsman of the woman. And then Indra had great difficulty. Imagine all your body is having woman's yoni. What will you do? How will you show it up? So then again there was rectification, and then Indra got all ice all over his body. So sometimes when you flip through the pages of Bhagavatam, you will see probably Indra and Diti comes in 4th canto. Diti vows to kill Indra. This is from 4th canto. In that, if you flip through the pages of 4th canto, you will see this picture. Indra having ice all over his body. Like that. So in this way, Indra was very heavily chastised. Although he had great enjoyment in Swargaloka, he still was enticed for that little honey. The another example is of Ravana. So Ravana was also an earthly king, but he had great enjoyment. It is not that Mandodari was his only wife and he did not had any union with any other women. Ravana had many women at his disposal. Because Rakshasas also rules are different. Human beings' rules are different. Rakshasas' rules are different. So he also had many women to enjoy with. But somehow he got enticed once with Ramba, heavenly beauty. So he went after Ramba, and Ramba said, no, I am not interested to enjoy with you. Ramba was a heavenly girl, and Ravana was not heavenly. His plan, his rule and definitions are different. So Ramba said, I don't want to have union with you. But Ravana forced. He said that you are heavenly damsels, you are not governed by these rules, I want to enjoy with you. So Ravana forcefully enjoyed with Ramba. And by the time he completed his enjoyment with Ramba, his husband Nalakuvera came running. And Nalakuvera said, what have you done? How can you do like that? He said, in heavenly planet all these things are fine. He said, no, you cannot enjoy a woman against her will. So I curse you that next time you do any mistake like that, you will immediately die. So that was a curse given to Ravana. And because of that curse, he was limiting himself to force himself on Sita. So this honey is like that once you taste a little honey, you again want to taste honey. So he heard that Sita is very, very beautiful lady from Shurpanakha. And he immediately developed that desire that I should unite with Sita. So he forcefully abducted Sita, very tactfully, forcefully abducted Sita. But then when Lord Ramchandra came to know, and we all know that episode. So in this way, Prabhupada says in the purport, such debauchees are not at all satisfied with one wife. They want many women, and day after day, with great difficulty, they try to secure such a woman. So in this way, this whole thing is going on in the forest, trying to enjoy opposite sex and then being chastised. Even in the current times, we see sometimes the politicians or sons of politicians, try to do forbidden things as per the rules, and then they are chastised. So Prabhupada says that in this Krishna consciousness movement, we are forbidden to have illicit sex and those side effects of illicit sex. Thus, they avoid so many difficulties. One should remain satisfied with one woman being duly married. One can satisfy lusty desires with his wife without creating disturbance. So in this forest, when one is lost, we really lost not just in the forest, we lose intelligence and many, many things. So when we read Srimad Bhagavatam, we get purified of all these misgivings in the life. When Rahugan and Jadabharat conversation gets complete, Rahugan feels that I have been completely purified in my consciousness. Like if somebody doesn't take bath and accumulates dust on his body for many, many days or months, and if he takes a clean bath, he feels very relieved of that dust. So similarly, in the consciousness of our heart, we have accumulated lot of dust from millions and millions of life. And when we hear these clear instructions of this Bhagavatam and it goes deep in our heart, we become purified. So somebody who wants to learn and understand from Srimad Bhagavatam, he can be very easily benefited by such instructions. But somebody wants to take out dosharpana. Dosharpana means finding faults, either with the Bhagavatam or the speaker of Bhagavatam or one who is instructing you, life can still go on. So although I myself do not have so many realizations, but whatever little bit learning I have done in my life, I am able to share a little bit by mercy of devotees and my superiors. So thank you all very much. I'll complete my today's discussion here. And also many of the people also celebrate Diwali today. Although according to Gaudiya Vaishnava calendar, the Diwali is tomorrow, because we give importance to the time of Brahma Muhurta. But many others have a different calculation, they celebrate Diwali. So on the day of Diwali, Ravana's death by Lord Rama had happened on Dashara. After 20 days, Lord Ramchandra returned back to Ayodhya. So it's a great celebration in Ayodhya, and in a symbolic way we can also celebrate to welcome back Lord in our heart. So thank you all very much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you for allowing me to speak so that I can also realize and understand Bhagavatam. So many wishes for all of you on Diwali. If anybody has any questions or any comments, you can please do so. Hare Krishna. Any questions? You can conclude here. Otherwise. So thank you all very much. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan Bhagwan ki, Diwali Mahotsav ki. Hare Krishna.